Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to see how can we design scalable revenue strategies with attribute-based adjustment in agentforce revenue management. So here is the agenda. First of all, we are going to see what is an attribute. Then we are going to see what is attribute-based adjustment. Following that, we'll review the use case and we'll review the configuration as well. And then at last, we are going to see ARM data model components which we have used while configuring the attributes-based adjustment. So what is an attribute? Attribute is nothing but a feature of the product. Attribute provides information about the properties or features of an object, helping to define its identity or characteristic. If you want to define certain feature of your product, you can define it as an attribute in Agentforce Revenue Management. What is attribute-based adjustment? Attribute-based adjustment allows you to modify product pricing dynamically based on specific attribute or characteristic, such as region, customer type, product color, or size. Instead of creating separate rules for each variation, adjustments are applied automatically when matching attribute values are detected. This makes pricing more flexible, scalable, and easier to maintain in complex sales scenario. Now let's review the use case. A telecom provider offers customizable internet plan with a base price of 500 USD. The plan's price can vary based on the selected attributes, which is speed and data limit. So if you have purchased 500 GB data limits and the speed is 50 Mbps, then the internet plan will cost you $600, which is $500 base price plus $100 markup or price uplift. If you purchase 500 GB of data limit and your speed is 100 Mbps, the plan will cost you 700 USDs. And in case you have data limits at 500 GB, speed limit as 200 Mbps, and then the final price of the internet plan will be $800. This attribute based adjustment enables dynamic and flexible pricing in the system. Customers can personalize their internet plan based on the performance and preferences, while the system ensures accurate price calculation throughout the attribute driven rules. Now let's review the configuration. Let me first show you how this internet plan pricing will work. I'll just enable the instant pricing so that we can see what is the current amount. The current amount is 500, which is base price. Now let me select data limits as 500 GB and let me select speed as 50 Mbps. It results into 600 USDs. Now let me change it to 100 Mbps and it should show us price as 700 GB. And now if I make it 200 Mbps, the price will be 800 USD, which is $300 markup on the base price. Now let us see how this can be set up. So first of all, let me show you the price adjustment schedule that I have created, which is having name as standard attribute based adjustment. It's an active adjustment method is range. The schedule type is attribute. This is necessary. Okay. Now, once you are done with this, and you should have the effective date as well, from which it will start affecting. Now, once you are done with that, you can come to this attribute based adjustment. I've already created few entries, but let me just click new. Over here, you will have to select the product, which is internet plan. Now, over here, if you want to do a markup, right, in amounts, you want or you will have to select amount over here. Then effective from the product selling model and then adjustment value. Now over here, if you want to provide markup, you will have to provide it as a negative value. Okay, so I'm just putting $100, which is in minus, and I'll click next, which will allow me to select the attribute and its value. So I'll select at speed and data limit. Okay, to save the time, I'll just show you how I configured that. So these tiers are already being configured. where it is providing negative $100, negative 100, $200, and negative $300. But where do we see the variation of the attributes? So for that, what we can do is we can just go over here and see modify attribute value. And I can see this. So if the speed is 50 Mbps and data limit is 500 GB, $100 markup will be there. If I go over here, if the speed is 100 Mbps and data limit is 500 GB, the markup will be $200. And similarly, for the third variation, which is speed is 200 Mbps, data limit is 500 GB, the markup is $300. Again, the markup needs to be negative. That is compulsory. Okay. Now let's review the pricing procedure. So the first element is price setting, and we have already talked about this multiple times in the previous video. You can just check it out. In nutshell, this is the price, or this is the element which will be the initial element and will define what are we pricing. So we are pricing line item. Post that, we are just getting the list price, which is coming as 500 USD. Okay, so that's the list price element. And now we'll come to the attribute based price. Lookup table is attribute based attribute discount entries. So what you have to do is once you are done with price adjustment schedule configuration, you have to go to setup and you have to go to the decision tables. So let me go over here, called decision table. Let's open it up. And then you will have to navigate to attribute discount entries, which is this one. And then you will have to refresh this decision table using this button. Once you are done with this setup, you are good to go and use this attribute based price element in the pricing procedure. So in the lookup table, we are selecting the decision table that we are going to refresh. Then what are the input variables? So the first input variable is price adjustment schedule, and that should be the ID of this adjustment schedule which we have configured. So if I show you over here, this is the ID of that particular adjustment schedule, and that we have provided as an input. Then the product, then product selling model, effective from and effective to, and then the currency ISO code. Now those are the input rule variables. Now input variable in which there will be a name of the attribute. So you're selecting attribute as a name, attribute values or whatever value that you are selecting on product, right? That will come into attribute value. Then we'll pass on the line item quantity, whether price is impacting, the attribute price is impacting or not. Then net unit price, and these are the constant variables that comes by itself. So once this is done, whatever is the net unit price coming up, we are storing into net unit price variable and subtotal into item net total price. So this is the whole configuration which will enable you to price your product based on the attributes. Now let's review the ARM component that I have used. So objects, I have used product, price book entry, attribute pick list, attribute definition, attribute categories, product classification, price adjustment schedule, and price adjustment tiers. In definition side, we have used context definition, we have used pricing procedure, then price setting element, list price element, and attribute based pricing element. These are the all things that I have used and configured attribute based pricing. Thank you very much for watching the videos. Please like and share the content and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you very much.